friends, and welcome for week 10 of our Heirloom Afghan crochet along. I'm so glad that you're here. Today we will be working on a beautiful square. It's called the offset cluster stitch. However, I'm calling it the beehive stitch. I think it's so pretty, and I think it's so appropriate because last week we did all of these pretty little honeycombs, and I just think it's pretty that now we've got something that we can still relate to the farm. We're going to call it the beehive. So let's go ahead and get started with our size H crochet hook. We're going to go ahead and create a slip knot, giving ourselves plenty of room on our tail here. And we're going to crochet 27. 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. Moving on to row 1. So we're going to place a double crochet in the 4th chain from our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to go right here. This is going to be the first stitch that we put in of row 1. So yarn over, going into the stitch, grabbing our yarn and pulling it back through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's do one more. I know by now you're familiar with the double crochet, but let's work another. We're going to yarn over, go into the very next stitch, grabbing our yarn and pulling it through. We have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we've completed 2 double crochet. This chain 3 that we skipped right here, these 3 little ones here on the end, that counts as a double crochet as well. So when we get to the very end of our row, we're going to want to have 25 double crochets, including this little bit here at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double crochet to the end of row 1 while you enjoy the music. I won't be counting out loud because I don't want to offset your count at home. So here we go. And one more right here in the very end chain of our beginning chain. And here we have row 1 of block 10, our offset cluster, but I'm calling it the beehive. Very plain. We don't have any decorative stitches in here yet, but in our next row here, I'm going to introduce you to the offset cluster. So picking our work back up, we're going to chain 3 and turn. Now our chain 3 up counts as a double crochet. It's actually considered a crochet in our first stitch, so we're going to do a double crochet in our next stitch, not here. Move over and place a double crochet in our next stitch. I won't be talking you through a lot of the double crochets anymore. We've already done a row of them and I know that you know how to do them. We have this first, what is considered a double crochet, and a double crochet. We're going to chain 1. And we're going to skip this next double crochet. And we're going to place a double crochet in the next double crochet right here. So we have a chain 1 space. We've got a separation right here in our work. Here comes the fun part. We're going to create our first offset cluster. And if you watched the tutorial that came out for this stitch, you'll know that we're going to be working around this post of this double crochet. And this is going to be done in a series of repeats of 5 times. We're going to work around this post. So we'll be working it almost like an incomplete double crochet each time. If you've watched the tutorial, you'll understand what we're doing. If you haven't, please feel free to follow along. If you find that you're not quite comprehending what I'm doing, you can go back and watch the tutorial and then come back and join us to complete our block. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to be working around this post. Once I get my yarn wrapped around my hook, I will be going in from the front around to the back and grabbing my yarn and pulling it back through and then completing what's needed for our stitch. So let's get started on our very first cluster of block 10. We're going to yarn over, and just like I said, we're going to go back and go around this post, grabbing our yarn and pulling it through, and we're going to yarn over and pull through just 2 loops. We have 2 loops remaining on our hook here. Leave them there. Don't do anything with them. We're going to repeat that action again. We're going to yarn over, wrap around the post of that double crochet we had made, grab our yarn and pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2. We now have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to do it again. Yarn over, around the post, grabbing our yarn and pulling it back through, yarn over, pull through 2. We now have 4 loops on our hook. We've completed that action 3 times. We need to do it 2 more times. Yarn over, around that post, grabbing our yarn and pulling it through, yarn over, pull through 2. We now have 5 loops on our hook. We need to do this 1 more time. There's room. If you find that you're out of room, just like in our prior blocks where we're working around a post, you can scooch that up a little bit if you need to. Yarn over, around that post, grabbing our yarn and pulling it through, yarn over, pull through 2. We now have 6 loops on our hook, and we are going to yarn over and pull through all 6 of these loops. So yarn over, and as we rotate our hook, it should just slide right through and all of those loops will fall off of our hook, leaving us with just our yarn on the hook right here. And it makes this beautiful little beehive. Now, so this doesn't go anywhere, we're going to chain 1 to secure it. Since we chained 1, we're going to skip this next double crochet down here, this very next stitch. We're skipping that. And we're going to do a double crochet in our next stitch, right here. And what this does now is this pulls that beehive back even now. Where before it was kind of up this way, now it's even, and you can see the little striations of everything pulling together for our beautiful, beautiful beehive. Isn't that pretty? Now, we've got our first double crochet here. According to our pattern, we need 3 of them in a row. So let's do that 2 more times. We're going to complete a double crochet in the next stitch. Make sure when you go through your stitches to complete your stitch, you go through both the front loop and the back loop. And there's another double crochet. We're going to chain 1, And just like before over here, we're going to skip one. We chain one, skip one. We're going to complete a double crochet in the very next stitch. Not this one, we're skipping this one. In the very next one, we're placing a double crochet. And we're going to go right back into our pattern for creating one of our beehives, one of our offset cluster stitches around the post of this double crochet 5 times as we work around this post. So let's go ahead and we'll count out the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We have 6 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 6 loops and then do a chain to secure our beehive. We're going to skip the next stitch and complete a double crochet in the next 3 stitches. There's 1, 2, and 3. Let's take a look and see how our block is looking so far. So as we look at our block, we're starting with 2 double crochet here. We have a chain 1 space, our beehive, a chain 1 space, 3 double crochet, a chain 1 space, our beehive, a chain 1 space, and 3 double crochet. So continuing on, we're going to chain 1, skip 1, and complete a double crochet in the very next stitch. Here's our double crochet. And this is the double crochet that we're going to be working around the post, completing our cluster. Yarn over, wrap your hook around, you're grabbing your yarn and pulling it back through. Yarn over and pull through 2. We're going to do that 5 times. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, it's a tight fit, but there's 5. We have 6 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 6, and then chain 1 to secure our little beehive into place. We're going to skip the next stitch and do a double crochet in the very next stitch. We're going to complete a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So we have a total of a little grouping of 3 there. There we go. We're going to chain 1. We're going to skip this next stitch and we're going to do a double crochet in the very next stitch after that. And this is our post that we're going to be working our offset cluster around to create another little beehive. Again, we're going to yarn over, go around that post from the front to the back and grabbing our yarn and pulling it through. Yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to do that 5 times. If you lose count, always remember that when you have completed it 5 times, you will have 6 loops on your hook. If you've completed it 3 times, you'll have 4 loops on your hook. It's always offset by 1. So we've completed it 5 times. We have 6 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through all 6 loops on our hook. We're going to chain 1 to secure our little cluster there. And we're just here at the very end of our row. Since we chained 1, we're going to skip the very next stitch and we're going to complete a double crochet in the stitch after that. But we're not done because our 3 that we skipped right here, remember I told you that counted as a double crochet? we're going to place a double crochet in the top of this chain 3 that we skipped over, and that will complete our row. So looking at row 2, as we have it completed here, we have 2 double crochet at the end, 2 double crochet at the end, chain 1 spaces, cluster, chain 1 spaces, 3 double crochet in 1 space, cluster, chain 1 space, and 3 double crochet right here. So every row is going to have a total of 4 offset clusters, and those will have little double crochet groupings in between of 3 double crochet and also our chain 1 spaces. So we're not going to have these offset like our honeycomb did. The beehives themselves are going to line up one on top of the other. It's the cluster itself that is offset by the way that we made it. It's kind of leaning and sloping and curving around like a cute little beehive. So let's work on how we're going to build on this. Let's work on our next row. We're going to chain 3 and turn our work. We're not going to work in this stitch right here. We've already built on top of it. We're going to create a double crochet in the very next stitch on top of this double crochet right here, making sure we go through both the front loop and the back loop. There's a double crochet. We're going to place a double crochet in this chain 1 space, not in the chain, but the space that chain created when we completed our offset cluster before. Now we want to place a double crochet in the top of our cluster, or the top of our beehive. If you rotate your work forward a little bit, we've got 2 little stitches here. Place it in this bigger V. In this bigger V here, you're going to want to go ahead and do a double crochet going through both the front loop and the back loop on that. We have another chain 1 space right here. We're going to work in that chain 1 space with a double crochet. And then in each of these next 3 stitches, we're going to place a double crochet. Again, in our chain 1 space, we're going to place a double crochet. On the top of our cluster, we're going to place a double crochet. And in our next chain 1 space, we're going to place a double crochet. And we're going to continue doing that all the way across row 3. So I'm going to do that, and let's all enjoy the music, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Don't forget your chain 1 spaces and on top of your clusters. When you get to the end, you have this last double crochet that you worked and the chain 3 that counts as a double crochet. So place a double crochet in the last double crochet and place a double crochet in that chain 3 up that we did. And there we go. So now we have a really nice foundation row to do our next group of offset clusters. So you're going to work row 4, so this is row 1, row 2, row 3. We're on row 4 now. That's going to have more clusters, and we're going to work row 4 the same as we did for row 2. Chain 3 and turn our work. We're not going to place a double crochet right here. We're going to go right over to here, and we're going to complete a double crochet. Chain 1. We're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to go to the stitch after that and complete a double crochet. And around the post of this double crochet that we just worked, we are going to create our cluster following the same pattern that we did down here in row 2. We're going to go around this 5 times. Yarn over, go around it, grabbing your yarn and pulling it through. Yarn over, pull through 2. I'm going to do that 4 more times. Yarn over and pull through all 6 loops on your hook and chain 1 to secure. We're going to skip the next stitch and do a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches across. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, skip the next stitch, placing a double crochet in the very next stitch after that, and we're going to complete a cluster around this post. Gets a little tight there at the end, but there's just enough room to do it. Yarn over, pull through all 6 loops on our hook, and chain 1. Now if you find that I'm going too fast for you, just remember this is not a race. It is not a competition. If I'm going a little bit too quickly for you, you can pause and get caught up. You can rewind. You can work on this at your leisure and come back and visit this video at any time. It will always be up for you. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue working our repeat of the 3 double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, working our cluster around the post of that double crochet, chain 1. We're going to skip the next stitch and do 3 double crochet. I'm going to continue this to the end of the row. the end of our row, we're going to skip a stitch, going to the next double crochet and completing a double crochet, and then completing a double crochet at our chain 3 up here. that counted as our first double crochet, and let's take a look now at the completion of row 1, 2, 3, 4, row 4. So you can see that our beehives are lining up right on top of each other. You know, now is a good time to grab our block 2 and let's check our gauge. Here's block 2 that we've completed when we first started our crochet along. We know that this seems to work out to be the perfect size for checking our gauge on our work. And let's grab our block here and let's see where we're at. Now, as I lay my block on top of this block, I see that I'm right where I want to be because I need to have room right here for round 1 of my edging that's going to be in the same color. And then I'll add the white edging on the edge there. So as far as side to side, my gauge is right where I want it to be. If I were to look here down at the bottom, I can see that we've got quite a ways to go to complete our block. So I'm going to keep working while we enjoy the music. I'll break in from time to time if I have any suggestions or any tips to give you. This is a true crochet along. I'm not going to fast forward or edit out any of the work that I do so that we can work along together and complete our block. So we're going to chain 3 and go right back into our pattern. We're going to turn our work. And remember, we're going to be working double crochets in the top of all of our double crochets, in our chain 1 spaces, and also on top of our clusters. We've already counted this one when we did our chain 3 up, so we're going to start right here in our very next stitch with a double crochet. And again, double crochet in our chain 1 space. Double crochet in the top of our cluster, double crochet in our next chain 1 space, and double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, which are our double crochets from the row below, and back to a chain 1 space. And we're just going to go ahead and crochet all the way across while we enjoy the music. Double crochet and double crochet in the top of our chain 3 turn that counts as a double crochet. Good, chain 3, turn our work and go right back into working our cluster row. Chain 1 space, we have our double crochet, and I'm going to start working my cluster around that double crochet. see our beehives are lining on top of each other, and we have all of our little chain one spaces with our groupings of 3 double crochet in the middle. Chain 3 and turn and repeat row 3. Description box below, so you'll have that to refer to. Pretty how that's starting to come together. Now, as we've done in prior blocks, it's important that every once in a while do a stitch count. Make sure that you're on where you need to be. Look at your work and make sure that it's not veering out this way. Make sure it's not veering in. Make sure you have the proper amount of stitches across. We want to have 25 stitches across, and that includes our chain 3 turns. So I'm going to use my hook here to help. And so right here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I'm right on track, right where I want to be. And I'm going to move right back into repeating row 2 with a chain 3 and turn, and then I'm going to go right back into working more of my offset clusters while we enjoy the music. say just by looking at my block, I would bet that I'm about 2/3 of the way done. And so I'm just going to keep continuing on with my block. And then I'm going to do 2 more rows, and then we're going to check it against block number 2 and see where we are. So I'm going to be repeating row 3 again. I'm going to chain 3 and turn and work my series of double crochets across as we've done earlier here in our block, in top of the double crochets in top of our clusters and in our chain 1 spaces. If you're just joining us today, I'd like to remind you that there are tutorials available for both left-handed and right-handed crochet enthusiasts. And that's not only for the block that we will be doing every week, but that's for a tutorial for the stitch as well. We've had a tutorial for just 2 of the rows emphasizing on how to work that cluster. So if you're just now catching our videos and this is something that interests you, something that you would like to join in with us, go ahead and go back to our videos to find our supply list and start at square 1. And we will be starting with the easiest of beginning crochet stitches, and we work our way up from there. So if you can believe it, we started with the absolute easiest stitch there is 10 weeks ago, and look at the beautiful, beautiful blocks that we are making now for our Heirloom Afghan. All you have to do is search Heirloom Afghan CAL for crochet along, and you should be able to find the entire series of videos for what we're doing for this Afghan, which is 63 squares, 63 blocks. Look at those pretty little beehives. I said I was going to do 2 rows before I checked to see where we're at. That was just one of them. Chain 3 and turn, and I'm going to be working my cluster row again, row 2. So I'll be doing that while we enjoy the music. Look, our block has really grown in just that short amount of time that we've been putting into it here. Let's go ahead and grab block number 2 and lie it down. And place block number 10 on top and see where we are as far as how much more we have to do here. Well, I'm going to say that in 2 more rows, I'm going to be ready to start my edging. But look at all those pretty little beehives. Aren't those pretty? Let's place it on top of a different color of place it on top of this double crochet pattern that we had done earlier. You can see now all of the pretty little chain 1 spaces, our little 3 double crochet groupings, and all of our pretty little beehives that are lined up in a row for our offset double crochet. All right, I'm going to do 2 more rows and then we're going to get ready for our edging. So we go ahead and set that square out of the way. And I'm going to chain up and turn, chain 3 here, turn my work, and I'm going to work row 3 one last time. Now I'm going to go ahead and work row 2 one more time, and that's going to give me the size that I want for my block. Keep in mind that we all have different gauges. You might end up at the end of your block at a different stage than I do, and that's okay. It doesn't matter if you end on row 2 or if you end on row 3, as long as your work lines up with a prior block, so you can make sure that you are at the appropriate size. You want it to be approximately, not exactly, depending again on your gauge, but approximately a 7-inch square. And I'm going to show you how to square that up here. As soon as we get to the end of this row, we're going to check to make sure we're square. You should check it for every time you do a block. Don't always count on just holding it up to one of your prior blocks. Make sure you check each and every block to make sure that it is indeed square. You don't want one that's a rectangle. These need to be as close to being true squares as we can get them, because we're going to be placing all of these together to make our beautiful Afghan. So I'm going to chain one and turn, and I'm going to make sure that all of my clusters are facing up towards me. They've got these pretty little bumpy ridges on the front, so I know that this is my correct side. This side is facing up for me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right back to where I turned, and I'm going to place 3 single crochet here in the corner. 1, 2, and 3. And this creates our first little corner as we work our edging round 1. We want to have 25 equal stitches between this corner and where I'm going to place this corner. Now if you recall, we've only got about 25 spaces to work with to begin with. So somewhere along here, I'm going to say about right here and right here, I'm going to put in 2 single crochet so that I will end up with 25, because if I take away this one and I take away this one, that leaves me 23 in between. I need 25. So about here and about here, I'm going to put in some extra single crochets. So we want 25 single crochet across. So here's 1. We're going to go into that space because that's okay. There's 2. 7, 8, I'm actually going to do it at the top of this, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I'm going to do it here too, 16, and 17. Moving on, there's 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. And then I've got this last little chain 3 up here. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put my 3 single crochet there to make my next corner. 2 and 3. There's the first part of our round 1. We're going to take our work and we're going to give it a quarter turn, because now we're going to work along this row. Now we don't have even little stitches to go in here. Well, we kind of do. We have little spots every 2. But I need to know where my midway point is, my halfway point, because I want to know I want to have about 12. I want to have 12 stitches halfway and then 13 the other half. So I'm going to fold this in half. Find out where my halfway point is right there. And I know that I want to get to about right here and have 12 or 13. So if I put 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That tells me I can put 2 in each little space as I go down, and we'll end up with 12. So let's try that theory. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and right there where I have that, let's put that right there, 11 and 12. Oh, that worked out perfectly, didn't it? Take out our stitch marker, and we want 13 across to here, so somewhere I'm going to have to plug in an extra. So let's go 1, 2, let's put 3, now we're going to be really off, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Perfect. And right here is our beginning chain where we started. We're going to put 3 single crochet there so we can turn the corner. 2 and 3. So there is the second part of our round 1 of edging, and we're just going to do a little quarter turn. This is our beginning chain from when we first started. So we should have, again, here and here are our corners. We should have 23 in between. We're going to have to put in a couple extra stitches as we work across. So I like to tuck my tail to the back. You don't have to. You can do whatever you're comfortable with. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make sure I get both parts that's left from the chain from when we made our first row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm going to put a double one in there to make it 10 because I know I'm going to need a couple extra. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and I'm going to double up again, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and right here goes 25, and right here in this very, very corner, I'm going to do 3, whoops, not that corner, there's 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to go ahead and do a quarter turn. And we've got one more side to go down for our edging. We're going to go ahead and once again fold our work in half. We're going to figure out about where our halfway point is, which is about right here. And we know that we need to have 12 or 13 across before we get there. Are we going to be lucky again with our little spaces here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's do 12 before we get to our stitch marker, okay? So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We're going to take our stitch marker out, and we know that we need 13 now. for 12 and 13, and we're going to go right here is our first chain or our first single crochet corner where we had 3 single crochets. We're just going to go right here and grab our yarn and pull it through for a slip stitch and chain 2, because we're going to finish off now. Now we're going to do round 2 of our edging with white, with our color A. My color is white, yours may not be white, whatever your color A is. So this was color C that we did our block in. There it is. Whoops, no, I want it. There we go. It's like this. I think. I don't know. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab color A, whatever your color A is. For me, it's white. And I'm going to do round 2 of our edging. I'm going to do a slip knot here. And go ahead and get my yarn on my hook. And I'm going to go to any corner I want. I'm going to go to this corner right here. And I'm just going to kind of find the center of the 3. So there's 1, 2. I'm going to go right here. And with a slip stitch, I'm just going to attach that and chain 1. Okay, in this corner now, this right where I attached it, I'm going to do 3 single crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and I'm going to work 25 single crochet across until I get to this corner, and then I'll do 3 in this corner here. I should have exactly 25 because we've already added our extra little single crochets. So when I get to this corner, I should have 25. Now I might be a little hard pressed to get in this corner because this is where I fastened off, but we're going to make it work. So no worries, let's do 25 single crochet across. Lied. We want 27, not 25. I had to think about that for a second. We want 27 across. There's 26. There's 27. And here is my corner where I'm going to put 3 in the corner so I can turn. So there's 1, 2, not 25, 27. Gonna go ahead and do a quarter turn, and we're gonna work 27 across to this corner. My goodness. her turn. I'm going to work down the next side. And we're going to go 3 in the corner, 1, 2, and 3, and give it a quarter turn one last time. Working 27 across to here. If you're new to my channel, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button on your way out as we get ready to end our tutorial for the week. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this tutorial and comment below and let me know. Have you become inspired to crochet again by these tutorials? Seeing this, are you now inspired to perhaps go grab some supplies and get a hook and join us every week as we learn new stitches and fun new blocks? Tell me a little bit about your history or your experience with crochet. Like it? Love it? Lump it? What are your thoughts? Let's see if we have some negative experiences that we can turn around into positives and bring you back to the world of crochet. I've spoken with several people who said they were ready to give up. They never thought they'd get it. And then after attending some of my tutorials, they said, you know what? I've got it now. I didn't have it before, but I've got it now. Thank you, thank you. And they're going to be getting some supplies and joining us for our tutorial. There we go. I'm going to crochet 2 chains. Got my little snippies here, and I'm going to cut that. I'm going to pull the yarn all the way through and just kind of pinch it with my fingernails and give it a nice tug so it slides the knot down to the edge of my work there. Done with my hook. I can set that aside. And there is our offset cluster block, aka beautiful little honeycombs. It actually goes this way now that I look at it. Let's get our other block and take a look. Look at that. Matches up perfectly. These are going to be beautiful when they're all sewn together. And we've got our chevron square or block all ready to go. And so these are going to be so lovely when they're put together. I didn't follow my own advice on this one, but now I'd like for you to go ahead, take your work, turn it over, and sew the ends into the back side, the wrong side of your work. Grab yourself an embroidery needle, a darning needle, an upholstery needle, whatever needle is easiest to go ahead and grab your yarn. And on the back side, go ahead and just sew through some of the stitches, just a group of stitches, and pull that through. Don't pull it through too tightly, just want it snug. Bad habit of doing that. And then wherever you came out at right here, don't go back underneath that stitch. Go back the same direction you came, but go over a few stitches and do it again. And that will kind of lock your yarn into place And so this is not coming out. It's going to catch right there and it's not going anywhere. And the same with when you go back this direction. One more time. I like to do it 3 times. And I know with as much love as this Afghan is going to get, I know that it's not ever going to come undone. Cut my little, whoops. Cut my end there, cut it close, but make sure I don't cut my work. And I'm just going to go ahead and sew in the rest of my ends. And then I've got one more thing to show you before we say goodbye today. Okay, one last thing before I say goodbye. I just wanted to let you know I went to the Dollar Tree and I was able to get these little tags at the Dollar Tree. No longer $1, now $1.25. But these are going to be a perfect way for you to kind of indicate and tag each square as you get it done, each block. So I've got my pen here. I'm going to write on here, this is block 10, and this is color C, and this is our crochet along 2022. There we go. And now I can just take this and place this around a stitch. I know what block that is, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to do this to all of my blocks because we're going to need to know what number each block is when we get ready to put everything together. Well, thank you so much, friends, for joining me here for week 10 of our crochet along. I'm so glad that you're here with me. I hope you're learning something. I hope you're enjoying learning all of these new beautiful stitches. I think it's a lot of fun. Until I see you again here at the farm for next week's block, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and have a blessed day. And don't forget, the tutorial for block 11 will be coming out soon. Bye-bye.